you all. Thank you all to be with us like every week. Like every Tuesday, we have with us Floribella Redondo, co-founder and executive director from Arizona Community Health Workers Association, our expert in behavioral health, Milly Gomez, presenting this so important topic that we have today, the importance of self-care during life. Thank you, Milly, for bringing this information that is so needed for all of us. And thank you so much because it's so important that we have that information. Thanks to all the people and organizations that are collaborating with us to put up these webinars together. Milly or Floribella, I don't know if you want to add something else.
No, I think that we're good. Thank you, Kenya. I think that just appreciate everybody that's connecting with us, and we're sure that there's going to be an excellent presentation again, like every single week. Milly, thank you so much for bringing this topic that is so much needed, especially during these times, and we're really looking forward with all the information that you have for us today. Thank you.
You're welcome. So let me go ahead and share my screen. I so love my first slide. So thank you, everyone. I hope you're having a good day. And if it's not a good day, I hope that you're able to sit with those emotions that might be causing some kind of discomfort. I think many times we have this idea that we always have to be in a good mood and we always just have to be on this positive mindset. But in reality, that is very unrealistic, and being able to accept anything that comes our way as far as feelings goes and just being able to sit with them and acknowledge them can really bring a lot of insight into what's going on. And that's part of what I'm going to be talking today about doing that to take care of ourselves. That self-care that is so important is so foreign for many people. So just to tell you, those of you that are not familiar with who I am a licensed professional counselor in the state of Arizona. I am nationally certified as a counselor. I have several certifications and training. Most of my emphasis is working with the body and the mind and working with that connection on how our body and our mind work together. It's not one or the other, but how both impact each other. And when we're talking about health, we're talking about mental health as well. And we often tend to forget mental health. So I have a private practice here in Yuma, Arizona, and I see a variety of age groups. My youngest one is 5, and then I see adults, couples. So I have a big variety of experience working with people and mental health. And today we're talking about self-care, which is something that I constantly work with my clients. Just people in general, is something that I'm very mindful of too, as a helping professional, that I can only give so much, because otherwise, if I keep giving and I don't take care of myself, I will be limited on how much I can give. So just take some time and notice your body posture, notice how your body's feeling, where your shoulders are at. A lot of times we tend to like put them up. Just kind of see where you're at and doing that check-in, because that's what it is. That is part of self-care. Can I check in with my body? Can I notice if my shoulders are tending to go up? Can I bring them down? Am I doing this? Am I lounging my back? Or can I just go and do a straight back? Can I sit? Can I stand? Can I just do a different movement just because I've been sitting in the same position all day? Can I look at something that is far away because I've been staring at my screen too long and I need to readjust my eyesight? All those things are part of self-care that many times we don't pay attention to. So I want you to ask yourself, do I complain about how others are so inconsiderate? Do I expect others to know when to ask for help? Am I a people pleaser? Do I have a hard time saying no? Do I often feel tired, irritable, or unhappy? And I want you to really be honest with yourself and see if you answer yes to any of those questions. Because if you answer yes to any of them, I can tell you that very likely you're not taking very good care of yourself. And that could be for a variety of reasons. And I'll be discussing that a little bit further down. But boundaries have a lot to do with this. We're going to talk about self-care, and I can give you a ton of ideas of what to do when it comes to self-care. But part of what I want you to take away from this is that you're not doing self-care so you can keep giving more and more and more and more. You're doing self-care so you can take care of yourself, and you can do only as much as it feels right for you, and where you're not depleting yourself, and how you are replenishing that energy and that time that you're giving out to others so kindly. So when we're talking about what is self-care, self-care is any activity that we do to take care of our mental health, our emotional and physical health. And it's something that we often overlooked. You know, self-care, when we do self-care and we actively are doing self-care, we are in a better mood. It helps us have a better mood. It lowers our anxiety. We feel more connected with our relationships. We're able to feel that it's okay to set limits. What self-care isn't, and I think that's as important as knowing what is self-care. So knowing self-care might be even more important than knowing what it is. So one thing that I often make an emphasis on, that self-care is not something that feels like a chore, something extra to do that I hate doing, something that is again on top of the list. It has to be something that you enjoy doing, that you find pleasure in doing. It's something that will help you recharge that energy rather than take away the little time you have. It's something that will help you feel better. It might seem like there's an extra task on the list, but you know that specific activity or that specific time at the end will help you feel better. And something that many people struggle with is that they see self-care as a selfish act. I'm taking away from the family time. I'm taking away time from the children. I'm taking away time from, work. But at the end of the day, and I think I shared this with the previous presentation last week, this analogy about having a basket full of apples and you keep giving apples throughout your day, and that is your energy and your time, and you keep giving them away to each person that you come along with and you have contact with. But at the end of the day, you have to find a way to replace those apples so that the next day you can continue giving them out. If not, you will run out. And that is when we start burning out. And that is when now anything will set us off because there's no more to give. So it's about knowing what you need to do to take care of you and to really have that time to consider, what is it that I can do to take care of myself? I experienced that I have a lot of people is that they don't even know what that is. And those that have an idea, many times they're thinking about going to the spa and getting a massage or getting a manicure or a pedicure. And you could say that's part of it, but that's not it. There's a variety of areas when it comes to self-care. And again, if you don't have enough time to take care of yourself, you won't be able to keep taking care of others, especially those that you love. So self-care is the key to living a balanced life. And that's where, you know, when I started and I said, check with your body, let's see where you're at. That is part of self-care. Can I keep checking and seeing, am I overextending myself? Am I saying yes automatically and not taking the time to really think about what is this new task or this new activity is going to affect me and maybe going to affect those that I love. So self-care needs to be something that is an active plan. Rather than just thinking, oh, it's just gonna happen, I'm gonna do it when I have time. You know, I do know what I like, so I'll try to do it. It requires a little bit more than just having this idea of what it is. It requires commitment. So for some people, it might really be something that needs to be added to the calendar if that's what they need to do. And I feel that the more you announce it either to your family or to your friends, there's a little bit more of accountability, whatever that might be. I have a group of friends and we all love reading, but with this situation with the pandemic, and you would think that we have more time to read, which it doesn't seem like we do, we haven't been reading at all. So we all decided to do this book club, and we get together every other Saturday online, and we commit to reading 10 pages every 2 weeks, which is not a whole lot, but it's a way to now I have this commitment with them, and I'm gonna sit for an hour and we're gonna talk about the book and how, you know, how we're reading it and how we're making sense of it. So doing those things and having people that can help you stay accountable for it, taking that time to take care of yourself really, really works. So although self-care means different things to different people, there's some basic, you could say, elements to what self-care is. One thing that I would recommend for you to do is to create a no list of things you don't like about what you're doing or that you no longer want to do. And then you can figure out, okay, how can I start letting go of these responsibilities, these added responsibilities, these unspoken responsibilities that for some reason all of a sudden they got put on my plate, or I put them on my plate, but I don't really, now I feel resentful because nobody's even checking with me if it's too much or not. So one thing that you can do for the things that you are able to control is saying, okay, I'm gonna set limits for myself. And again, we talk about those boundaries and saying, I'm not gonna check any work emails at night, or after 6 p.m., I won't check any more work emails. I won't go, well, right now we can't really go to gatherings. You might be invited, you know, a lot of different states are requiring different things, but really knowing and being firm about, you know what, I might get asked, or there's a certain thing that I really don't feel like doing, and I'm just gonna be honest and say, you know, thanks for the invitation, but because of how things are going, I don't feel comfortable. Not answering your phone during lunch or dinner when you're eating, not watching TV when you are having lunch or when you're eating. You know, having these things that actually show that I'm going to set limits for myself, not being on social media all day. One thing that I do that I really like, my phone lets me know when I've spent an hour on social media. And it doesn't matter what app it is, it's just all together. It adds up any social media that I go into, and it lets me know you've spent an hour. My limit is an hour and a half a day, and that I respect that. I try to do that, and I'm very mindful of that. At the beginning, it wasn't easy because it's so easy to just go and check. But now I really appreciate the time where I pops and says, you know what, you got 15, 20 minutes. And then I know that's my limit. And it helps so much. Other people kind of have a hard time because I don't answer messages as frequent or they don't see me as active, but I always tell them, if there's something you need, you have my phone number, you can call me and let me know. And my phone, I do pick it up. I just have this limit on social media. And all my friends and all my family knows that if they need to get a hold of me, they need to call my number. They can't send me a message on WhatsApp or all these other apps that I don't even have, Messenger and all this. I won't read it. Very likely I won't read. Some of those I only check like once a week because I'm so limited in the time that I decided to spend on social media. Follow up with medical care. I think that for many of us, and I might just speak for my family, but for what I've seen, you know, I come from a Hispanic family, Mexican family. Most of my family only goes to the doctor when they get sick. It's not about preventative care. It's I go once I feel very, very sick. And it's about prevention and understanding that. Am I getting my yearly checkups? Am I going to the doctor to really make sure that things have stayed the same? I don't go to the doctor because I'm sick. I'm going to make sure that I'm doing everything I can to stay healthy. Spending enough time with loved ones. And right now, I think more than ever, because we're so stressed out and so many things are happening, really spending time, and it doesn't have to be physical, right? A physical interaction where the other person's right there next to me. It could be through doing online meetings, online gatherings. That is something else that I have also started to do. I reach out to all my cousins who I haven't seen in months. And I sent them all a message and I say, hey, can we do a family reunion online? And everybody was so up for it. We all got together. We got to see each other's kids and pets. It was this really nice interaction that it just felt like, oh, I just saw all of you and it was such a nice thing to do. And it's being able to do that. Can we spend that time with people who we care about, even if it's not in person? And look for opportunities to laugh. Humor is so important. It changes the chemistry in our body. It helps us release stress. So being able to find opportunities to laugh, and if it's putting on a comedy or a movie that we like that is funny, if it's, you know, having someone tell you a joke, if it's just, I'm just gonna dance and I don't care how I look, whatever that is, but giving yourself that opportunity really just to laugh will do a big, big difference. And you could say those are kind of like the essence of what we call self-care. So, and if you see, I don't have the spa and all these things that we usually think of when we're talking about self-care. It's really more about how am I taking care of my physical, mental, and emotional well-being. So I have this as, I charge my phone when my battery is low. I remember to take good care of myself when my battery is low. So my question to you is, do you know when your battery starts depleting? Can you catch when that begins? Because we have our phones and we can look, right? You have 80%, you have 50%. And we are so good at, I have some people that are like, I don't let my phone get below 50%. I'll go and charge it, you know? And do you go, just like you will go every night, some people just wait till the night to recharge your phone. What are you doing to recharge yourself? How are you doing that daily? I'm not talking about 3 months from now or, you know, at the end of the week or the weekend. How are you doing this every day? So this is something a friend of mine posted and I really liked. It says, I once thought I needed more time. Instead, I needed boundaries. And that is such a powerful statement. So if that is the feeling that you have, I can assure you that it's very likely that we're talking about boundaries more than wanting to have a day that is 48 hours. Because we have all these unspoken agreements with people, with our family and our relationships. But at the same time, we are not voicing, we are not saying, you know what? I cooked the entire week. Can we either do takeout or can you cook tonight? Because I'm really tired. Like, can we come into an agreement because what I have on my plate right now is too much. Who does what? Are we taking turns? When do I know that it's enough for me and I have to say no? And again, if you're someone that struggles with saying no, and as the first question that I asked, that we call people who struggle with that people pleasers, that I just kind of go and say yes, and I keep overcommitting myself, and then I'm driving myself crazy because I've committed to so much. It really is about, there's a lot of underlying issues that go with that. So I know I'm making it sound very simple, but if that's you, there's a whole lot of underlying things that are driving that force. And that's where we have to do, again, self-care is doing that self-exploration, that taking that time and saying, if I say no, what do I feel? What are the stories that I create around saying no? How have I been taught to say no? What does my family show when I say no? What messages have I gotten from my family, from my parents about saying no? Do they say no too? Do they set boundaries? Did they teach me how to set those boundaries? When I set boundaries with them, what kind of response do I get? And all these dynamics that we don't quite pay attention to that have to do with self-care and how I take that time for me. I have to say, we all have different experiences and we come from different backgrounds. But I come from a very poor family, and where self-care is something you don't think about. Self-care is you're not at work, working in the fields from day to dawn, and that's what it is. You're working out in the house, and self-care is I just do it when I want to, even though my father continues to be doing a whole lot of things on the weekend, and he worked the entire week, and is not knowing when to turn that switch off. So it's really about, can I allow myself to take a break? And when I do that, can I enjoy that time and not feel guilty? So there's a whole lot that goes with that. So as I said, self-care is a daily activity. And it's something that we're doing every day, throughout the day. I'm not saying once a day. I hope that it's more than once a day. So I wanted to show you some of the things that I use throughout my day before I continue explaining a little bit more of what self-care looks like for me. I work with people. So being in the helping profession, I have to really check with myself and how I'm doing before I go and I try to help someone else. Because if I'm struggling, it's not going to be an authentic connection with my client. I have to be in a good place to be able to offer the space and my mental space to that person. So in my office, I always, because I try to work a lot with the senses, I always have kind of like different kinds of oils. So this one is kind of like a roll-on, so I'll put it on, and I love how it smells. So I'll just put it on in between my sessions. So you're talking about almost every hour. And I just put it on and I literally just smell it. And I really like how it smells. So I take a deep breath and I hold it and I let it out. And I just kind of, again, we talk about how touch helps us too. And it helps us with our stress. So I just kind of like rub it in my hands. I smell it again. And I just take that time in to actually just kind of take that break in between my sessions. And it might be 2 minutes, but it's taking that time to check, okay, I just had a session, we worked through a lot, let me take a little bit time in between before I go into the next person. So I do that, and I'm really about everything that has to do with putting something on. So I always have lotion too. Even though I might not need lotion, that's something I do too. I'll put lotion and I'll smell it and I will see how my hands feel so soft, and I like that feeling. And again, that is what it is for me. If I've been sitting too long, I'll go and I'll take a break and I'll walk outside and I'll stay in the sun for a bit and I'll just take in the air. I'll close my eyes and I'll hear the sounds. Again, that is part, and I do it every day. It's not something that I leave till the end of my day. I'm doing it throughout my day because I want to make sure that by the time I'm done with my day, I haven't accumulated this stress that now is keeping me up at night because it's so hard to just kind of dump it all out and be like, okay, I reset myself and I can sleep comfortably. So I do that. My clients know that I have these things in my office, and this is putty. So, but it's aromatherapy. So this one, it smells like mint. So it gives you energy, right? Again, I'm with smells. I love that. But the stress ball, I can squeeze it and it helps kind of like a stress ball. I can mold it. I like the feeling of it. It's so soft. I can stretch it out. And I do that too. And again, I'm taking that time just to recognize, I'm like, oh, I need to take a little bit of a break and I'll start doing this. Those are the things that I'm talking about, is checking with your body and recognizing if all of a sudden I'm looking and I'm realizing that I'm really restless and I keep shaking my feet and I'm moving and I can't seem to find my spot. Okay, what do I need to do to bring me back to a calmer state? And I love essential oils. And those I do at home because I work in an office and my clients could be allergic to them, but I do it here at home. And I'll put different essential oils, and some of them are just to calm me down. And I do that. Another thing that I do, and this is in somatic experiencing, which is a training that I'm almost certified in. It's a 3-year training and I'm almost done with it. One thing that we talked a lot about is, we call it orientation, which means, can I look around? Can I look at my surroundings and be curious about what is around me? It's not about, can I look around and see where the danger is or what I don't like. It's about, can I look around and find one thing that stands out for me? And really it's about like turning your head and looking all around in a slow pace and just recognizing, okay, what is behind me? What is next to me? What is up in the sky? And being curious about what my surroundings look like. And you might say, well, Millie, you're in your room. You know what everything's around. I do. But taking the time to do that scan helps my nervous system relax. That's something that we all do. If you look at an animal, if you have a pet at home, you will see that animal is always scanning. It's looking around. It's never staring. Their eyes are never fixed on one thing unless there's danger. Then I keep my eyes on it. But our body doesn't know when we are in danger and not. When it comes to me, I'm staring at my phone for an hour, or the computer, now I'm staring at it. So my nervous system is saying, ooh, you're under threat. You've been staring at something for that long. It must be very dangerous. So taking that time to look around resets my nervous system and calms it down. So remember, it's being curious. Can I look around and find one thing that stands out for me that out of everything I saw, that one just kind of makes me want to look at it for a little longer. And it might be the color, the texture, it might be some flowers. And you just stop and you give that one thing a little bit more time than the rest. And you just take it in. And you take the time to allow your body to settle again. So that's one thing that I do too. And the other thing that I do quite often is, again, it has to do with your eyes, because we're fixated so much on one thing, watching TV, playing video games, the computer, our phones. A lot about it's about fixing our eyes into something. And again, that doesn't go well with our nervous system. So one thing that I do often, and this is something that I was taught this a couple years ago, and I do it so much. Now I can do it without doing this whole thing. But one thing that I often tell my clients, I ask them to extend their arms and to pull them back, and little by little to start bringing them in. So you're looking straight. So little by little, you start bringing them in, and you just kind of look at, when can I see my wiggle? I'm wiggling my fingers. When can I see my wiggling fingers on both hands looking straight? So I'm using my peripheral vision. And then I have this 180 vision because I can see this entire thing around me. And that also helps your nervous system. It helps it come down. Again, my eyes now are looking at this 180 landscape, and it's being able to do that. If you do it often, then you won't have to do the hands. You can just kind of be talking to someone. And I use that a lot when I'm in session, because I have to give that person my 100% attention. So I can't be like looking around and then that person be like, what, you're getting distracted. So what I do, I use that technique that I'm still looking straight, but I'm having this vision where I'm really having a 180 and I can see this half of the room, you could say. So that's another thing that I use on a daily, multiple times a day. And that is my daily self-care. Yes, I do have I'll go get the manicure and do all these things. But those are the things that I do every day to help my nervous system stay regulated, which is what we want. So physical care, we're gonna go through all the different types of self-care. Eating regularly, really having, some people have the 3 meals, some people snacks, but really being able to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner at least, and having it at reasonable times, and giving yourself that opportunity to sit down and enjoy a meal, not rushing, not while you're texting, sending emails, watching TV, putting on the news. Really honor your body to digest the food. And can you give your body at least 30 minutes just to do that? Where I'm gonna do it, I can have a conversation, but you know, can I just close anything else, any other distraction, especially when we talk about electronics? Can I just put that aside for a bit so I can really allow my body just to enjoy this experience? It's about eating healthy, exercising. And again, I'm not saying to go and work out 3 hours. It's just about moving your body, dancing to a song, going for a walk around the block, stretching. Some people might not even have the capacity to do any physical exercise. It's about stretching and just moving my body and lifting my arms if that is a possibility, or just kind of noticing what this feels like. Anything that has to do with movement will help. We talked about getting medical care for prevention, just having medical care when you need to. And that's another thing that I've been hearing quite a bit right now. I have a lot of my clients that need to go to the doctor. Like I had a client this earlier today that said, you know, I injured my foot a couple weeks back and it's still swelling. And the doctor said that I need to go in because they had a phone appointment, but I don't feel comfortable. So now there's this delay, right? Because of everything that's been going on. So it's really about, can I talk to the medical staff and see, okay, how can we make it safe? How can you reassure me that you're taking necessary precautions? What are the options? Can I stay in my car while you wait? Can you call me when the doctor's ready? Having all these things that maybe will help you feel a little bit better about reaching out for medical care. Right now, I know at least here in Arizona, you're still not able to get a massage. I know in other states you can. Again, everybody decides what is safe for them, but that's definitely an option. And it doesn't have to be by someone professional. You can have, you know, if you are with someone, you live with someone, do that part. And again, touch helps our body regulate for the most part. If you have a problem with touch, that means that there's a lot of dysregulation already in your body, and that's something that needs to be worked on. But if you are able to enjoy just someone touching your skin, it might just be, you know, can somebody, you know, your sister, your husband, your wife, whoever might live with you, hey, you know, can you just give me a neck massage? You know, and being able to do those things for one another. Dancing, swimming, running, anything that has to do with movement and is fun is going to help. Getting enough sleep. That's another big one. And again, I know sleep is tied in with different things, but keeping a routine when it comes to sleep, especially right now with so many people who are, you know, their schedules are off, being able to really keep that steady. And that's one thing that, at least for myself, I've been very strict with myself about. People make fun of me because I'm like, it's 10:30, and I'm like, oh, I'm past my bedtime. And people are like, you're not going anywhere. You don't have anything to do, like early in the morning. But I've been really sticking to my routine, and that has helped me. I still wake up as if my son was going to school, even though he's not. So this has helped me stay into this rhythm, and it really has helped me with my sleep. I haven't had any issues with it. So having that really helps. Wear clothes that you like, that feel comfortable. You know, when I thought about, take vacations or to take day mini trips, I thought about putting a picture. There's the lake here in Yuma that I've never visited, and it's like 30 minutes maybe for me. So the other day we're like, we haven't been out. Let's go check it out. We don't even have to get off our cars. I just want to see what it is because I've never been to it. And we went, and nobody was there, so it was nice. We got off, we saw the sunset, and it was just this nice thing to do out of the ordinary, where if it was in another situation, we would be planning going to San Diego because it's a 3-hour drive for us. It would be that. But now we have to adjust. And that's what it was. And it was a really nice thing to do. And we can take vacations. We can take ourselves on vacations, even in our imagination. So being able to do that, really playing with and using that into our advantage. Our mind is so creative, and we can really take advantage of that, even if we're not able to physically do it. And take time away from our phones. We are so attached to these things, but really take time to just put it aside and not worry about it. At least, again, committing to like, I'll do that for an hour a day or 2 hours a day, and being able to really respect that, about setting your own limits. So psychological self-care. Take time to reflect. Take time to just kind of see where you're at, and I'm not, of course you can get very deep and start thinking about, where am I in my life right now? Am I happy? What is happiness? How do I want to improve my relationships? How can I better show up for myself? How can I allow myself to be more authentic? How can I allow myself to be more vulnerable? There's so many things that we can do when it comes to that. And obviously going to therapy, seeing a counselor, it's part of that. A lot of times people think that people that come to see me is because they had a nervous breakdown and they're having this life crisis. But many times people are just stressed out and they don't know what self-care looks like. And we talk about all these things. And now they have the tools and they find out what works for them and they have a routine and now they're able to do it daily. Writing in a journal. And it could be whatever it is that you want. You don't worry about the spelling, how much I write. Does it even make sense? No, you just write, you put your thoughts. You might just do, 3 things that I'm grateful for that day. Sometimes I tell people, write something that made you smile or that made you laugh that day. So when you're writing it at night and you start to reflect what my day, what happened, you can revisit that memory. You can revisit that feeling of like, oh yeah, that was really funny, or yeah, that was really cute. And again, you re-experience that feeling again instead of doing your list of all the things that I should be worrying about that are gonna happen tomorrow. Read a book, read literature that is not related to your work. Something, again, that is fun for you, that has no other purpose more than just to entertain you. Do something that you are not an expert on or where you don't have to be in charge. Again, it's really about, can I enjoy this without putting a timeline or having a certain outcome? Can I just do it for the fun of it? Decrease your stress in your life. Do a list of all the things that stress you out, all the things that are depleting you. Do your list and see what are some of the things. Can I start saying no to some of those things? Can I do them? Can I commit to them less frequently so that I can start decreasing that stress? Let others see different aspects of you. I think that the more authentic we are with ourselves in our relationships, the better we feel. I was telling someone earlier that I went to, there's a little store near my house, and I know the owner, and he's the one that does everything, right? He runs the store. So he was there the other day, and I could see it in his face that he wasn't doing very well. So I asked him how he was doing, and he took a couple minutes to answer me, and then he said, you know what, I don't know how to answer your question. And he stood quiet again, and he's like, I could tell you that I'm really bad, I'm doing bad, but I'm really not doing that bad. And I can't tell you that I'm doing good because I am not doing good. So I'm trying to really figure out what to say, and I don't know what that is. I appreciated that answer so much because we're so quick to say, oh, I'm good, everything's fine. But to be able to recognize, you know what, there's a whole lot that I'm feeling. I haven't figured out what it is, but here's my answer. It allows us to let others see those aspects of us that we're not also put together and perfect and I don't have any issues. It's that human connection of like, yeah, I get it. I can't even imagine what you're going through. And the only thing, I mean, there was nothing I could say to him. There was nothing I could do. The only thing I said is, I hope you're taking good care of yourself. That's the only thing I said. And I smiled and I left. But again, it's being able to allow certain people to see those aspects of ourselves, even when we're struggling, not show only the ones that are going so well. Notice your inner experiences. Listen to your thoughts, your judgments, your beliefs, your attitudes, and your feelings. We're our worst critics, and we create so many stories, and we create so many judgments around us and what we do and our self-worth and all these things. Start paying attention to them because they do take a lot of energy from us. And can you start reframing some of those things so that you can start finding more compassion for yourself? Engage, again, learning something new. Can you find new things to do? Even a puzzle. That's one thing that we've been doing here with my family. We've had puzzles around, and we've never had the time to actually, not the time, but made ourselves sit down and actually do it. And now that's something that we do, and it's something fun to do, and we're not so caught up into it needs to be done, or we need to do, these many pieces. If we were able to put, 10 pieces together into what we had already, we're listening to music, we're having a good conversation. It's just something different that, and we're really using a lot of our mind to trying to figure out where everything goes. Yeah. Practice receiving. Ooh, that's another one that is so hard for people. And I have to say, that's one of the reasons a lot of times when people end up seeing me too, is that they have such a hard time receiving help, receiving compliments, receiving love. And it's really about what is keeping me from doing this. And it's really taking the time. Are those things being offered and I just don't feel like I deserve them? And how can I start allowing myself to receive? So one thing that I often ask my clients is, can you allow yourself to receive 1% more? I'm not asking for a big change, but can you allow yourself to just get 1% more? And if that's a yes, and most people say yes because 1% doesn't seem like a whole lot, then I ask, what would that 1% look like? What is it? Is it going to be that every time somebody says a compliment, I just say thank you and I smile, and I just don't start saying, oh no, look at my hair is so messy. Oh no. Or, oh no, look, no, I no, it has so many mistakes. I still need to proofread it, or whatever that might be. Think about what that 1% more would be for you, and how can you practice that every day? Because many times it's the struggle that we have internally of not knowing how to receive it. We're so good at giving, but we don't know how to receive. Be curious. Just wonder about things. That's one of the words that I often use now. I don't say I have a question. I don't say I don't understand. I just say, you know what? I'm curious how you came up with that answer. I say, I'm just curious why you said that. And then, it's being about, can I just really open myself up to just being curious about opinions, beliefs, situations, how things are done, and realize what thoughts and my emotions and all these are attached to it. But can I just be open to it, the possibility? And again, saying no. That's going to be a big one when we talk about self-care. Are you able to say no to the extra responsibilities? And do you know when the extra comes into place? Or are you so overwhelmed that you don't even know what the extra is anymore? Or have you been saying yes your entire life that's never really been even an option? So a big part is, where can you say no most of the time? And something that I often say, and this is how I word it for my clients, I tell them, every time you say yes to something, you're saying it has a no attached to it. So if I say, yes, I'm going to commit to do this for you, the no attached to, let's say for me, will be no to time with my son, and no to time with my husband, and no to time for me. If I'm going to give you this time for you, I'm saying no to other stuff. And when I put it like that, is that something I want to do? And really take about and balance it out. A friend of mine does this and I love it. And ever since she told me she does this, I do it too. Every time somebody will ask, hey, Millie, can you do this? What she says she does, she'll say, you know what, give me 20 minutes and I'll get back to you. And because she's like, with the impulse, I want to say yes. But if I say, give me 20 minutes and I'll get back to you, she's like, by then I already thought about, oh no, look at all the things I have to do. And I have this and that and this time and the commitment. She's like, and then I can go and tell to the person, you know what? I would love to help, but right now I'm really stressed out or spread thin and I can't do it. But thank you for asking. And it's being able to honor yourself and to set limits for you so you can take care of yourself. The other one is emotional self-care. Spending time with those that you enjoy their company. Again, having the sense of connection and belonging is really important. Staying in contact with important people. Giving yourself the positive affirmations, even though a lot of people think that they're corny, that just they're silly. Find some that actually makes sense to you. If I'm enough or I'm lovable doesn't quite work for you, do something else. I give myself permission to make mistakes? That's a positive affirmation. I'm allowing myself to receive more. Saying those things, and honestly, if you say those things every day when you wake up in the morning, it will be even better if you're looking at yourself in the mirror, but you don't have to. But being able to say them, and you say them slowly, and then you say them and you check with yourself and you check and say, how much of this message am I taking in? And be honest with yourself, and you're going to be like, God, no, this was hard. I'm taking in like 3% because I don't believe it. And that's okay. We're hoping that maybe tomorrow when you say it again, It might turn into a 3.5 or 4%. We're just working with 1% more. Love yourself. And what that is, we can be so harsh on ourselves. How can I show more kindness and compassion to myself? Reread your favorite books or watch your favorite movies. Identify comforting objects, people, places, things, and do those things on a conscious level, on an intentional level. Allow yourself to cry. Every time I say that, I think about something I saw online a couple months ago. But it was a couple, and they were sitting together, and this guy was like super buff. You could feel that probably would work out every day in the gym for hours. And he says, has a bubble, and says, I work out when I'm stressed out. And the person he's with says, I wonder what would happen if you just cry. And I don't think we allow ourselves to have those moments. We don't have them enough. And really allow yourself just to release that emotion, that stress, that frustration, and giving ourselves that opportunity and that grace to do that. Again, find things that we talked about, finding things that make you laugh, that you enjoy. Some people really like to take a social aspect to things when they talk about their emotional self-care. So some people will join social groups, will do letters, will do donations, will protest. And it really is about, can you find your passion on something? And can you have the opportunity to do that? And play. Could be with children, it could be with your dog. Just give yourself some time to play. One thing that I often tell, especially the adults, is that, was there a toy you wanted when you were little and never got? And can you go buy it and play with it? Like, give yourself that opportunity to play with that toy. It doesn't matter if you're an adult. There's a part of you that is still a child. We're kind of like children in big bodies. And give yourself that opportunity to do that. I'll step away, but I can show you that I had a doll when I was little and I loved her. Obviously, I don't know what happened to my doll, but on Christmas, my sister gave me almost the exact same doll, and I have it right next to my bed. So I'll try to you so you can see that. Yeah, I did that. And every time I see my doll, it just brings me this really nice memory and makes me happy. And I just kind of squeeze it, and it's just kind of that good feeling I get. Spiritual self-care. Again, making time to reflect, to know, are my beliefs and my values align? How can I better show up? Spending time in nature, finding a spiritual connection in your community. Some people, sometimes they're looking for a place that they can call their church or their temple. And it's really, if that's something that you would like, are you seeking that? Be open to be inspired. And that could be by walking outside, by reading a book, by just observing people and noticing how, despite everything that is going on, we're moving forward. One way or another, we're really, really moving forward. Shares optimism and hope. Sometimes we're so fixed on everything that is going wrong that we forget what's going right. What is, what, maybe not even going right. What is the neutral thing right now? And sometimes we can then hold on to that. What is the thing that is just neutral at this moment? Try new things that we talked about that earlier, that where you're not in charge or you're not the expert. Be open to not knowing. And be able to say, you know what, I don't know. You don't have to be the expert in everything. You don't have to know everything. Allow yourself to say, you know what, That's a really good question, and I don't have the answer for it. Identify what is meaningful to you and how that is showing up in your daily life. Many times we forget those things also, and we only do them once every blue moon. Are you doing that often? We meditate, pray, spend time with children, have those experiences of aha. Sometimes those acts of kindness, especially from strangers at times, and being able to allow yourself to enjoy those moments, to really be in the moment. Contribute to causes that you believe in. Again, reading books, watching talks online, listening to music. And now self-care in the workplace. Take a break during your workday. Really go to lunch. We get so caught up. I'm doing a working lunch. Really take that time. Take breaks between your clients, in between every so many hours. Really take that time to check in with yourself. If possible, take time to chat with your coworkers to check in how everybody's doing. Take time to do certain things if it's quiet, and that will give you a way to relax. I have people that, they're like, you know what, I'm gonna shut down I'm gonna close my door. I'm there, but I just need this next 2 hours. If possible, leave me alone. I'm gonna be in my zone, and allowing yourself to do that. Find if there's any tasks or projects that you really would like to be part of and volunteer for that. Set limits with your clients and your colleagues. Again, it talks about how can I set better boundaries with my clients and my colleagues. This was one thing. I work in mental health. I worked in crisis for a very long time. But one thing that I've always told my clients is, I might, if you're trying to get a hold of me after hours, I'm not sure if I will be able to answer you. So these are the numbers that you can call, that you can try to see if you are in a crisis. And as soon as I am available or I have the time, I'll try to see, I'll get a hold of you. And people would never believe that my phone wasn't blowing 24/7 because my clients knew that they have boundaries. They didn't have to call me because, I forgot the address for this place and can you Google it for me because my phone doesn't have maps. Those things is really about, they knew you don't call me for those things. You call me for something that is serious, and then I'll be able to help. And it's being able to set those limits. It's being able to know, I love to help and I am a team player, but I also know when to say no. And being able to voice that. Balance your caseload so that you have some sort of balance in between your days. And again, once you get to know the people you work with and you're able to know, if I visit these houses or these clients or I talk to these people, I know I'm really drained at the end of my day. So I'm going to try to have a lighter morning, or I'm going to try to see them in the morning so that my afternoon is not as heavy. And then I won't have to go home and try to process everything that just happened a few hours ago. It's really about, can I find that balance? Arranging your workplace, your living space to something that feels comfortable for you. Getting regular supervision and consultation, especially for those that we work with people, that is so important. I am licensed, and that's part of, you could say, the great thing. I don't have to be supervised because now I have a license and I'm liable for whatever choices and decisions I make. But I love doing supervision and consultations. I love calling my colleagues or calling people that I have a lot more experience than I do and be like, hey, can you help me out with this? I'm kind of stuck. And being able to do those things so that I don't feel I have to solve it all on my own, or I have to come up with the solution all by myself. Negotiate at work. Many times we think that, and depending on the situation, you know, sometimes, yeah, it is not possible, but being able to speak up and say, hey, I've been working here this long and I haven't gotten a raise, and I'm just wondering if that's even a possibility, or, you know, if that's not what it is, you know, I haven't taken time off, or I need a mental health day and I could be here, but I'm like checked out, so I'd rather just go home today. And being able to have that opportunity really says a lot about the place you work in, and also how you're really trying to take care of yourself. Check with your peers. A peer support group really helps, because again, you have people who work in a similar environment, who get you, who understand where you're coming from. So that really helps. That's something that I do often. One, because I can't just talk to anyone about the kind of work that I do, but it really helps to have other counselors that if I say, you know what, being in if I had 5 sessions today and I'm like, and I am so tired, and some people are like, you just work 5 hours. But, you know, being able to have some of that relates to the kind of work that it takes to be doing this, then it feels a lot more validating. And developing interests, again, that are not related to work. So reminder, you don't owe anyone, let me repeat that, anyone, a 24/7 access to you. I mean, if you're a parent and you have a child, then that doesn't quite apply. But I think aside from having a child, you really have to be able to set those boundaries with others. You're allowed to ignore a phone call, and it's right not to respond. Are you overextending yourself? Are you setting good boundaries? And again, that word is the one that is going to keep coming up and up again, because if you're struggling with this, it means that you have to look at your boundaries with others, and you have to also look at what boundaries you are doing for yourself, and are you respecting those boundaries? I've been thinking a lot about respect, and we demand respect from people so much, but we rarely look and say, how am I respecting myself? Or how am I disrespecting myself? And that's where boundaries come from. Am I allowing myself to be overextended and used and not appreciated, instead of saying, you know what, I've done enough. I appreciate you asking me one more time, but I can't today. And being able to honor what I'm feeling in my limit and not expect you to do that for me. Strive for balance among work, family, relationships, play, and rest. And that is really what it's all about. Can you find that balance in between all those roles that you have, in between all those relationships that you have? We are in difficult situations, and we're trying to find a new normal and what that looks like. But at the end of the day, when you come home, when you are home, how are you trying to reset? How are you trying to recharge yourself? And the other day, somebody told me, well, there's really a whole lot that I can do. And I'm like, can you just take a longer shower? Like, if it comes down to that, and play music while you're doing it, and it's doing those things that just kind of give yourself a little bit more time to just be by yourself doing something that you enjoy. So thank you so much for staying with me for this almost hour and a half. You can follow me on Instagram and Facebook. I try to post daily, and I do mostly about trauma because that's where I specialize in. I'm gonna start a series on conflict management with couples. So I'll do like a 7-day thing on how to improve your relationships. And a lot of it is going to be on boundaries. So if you're interested in that, might be something that you might want to look into it. There's my website and how you can get a hold of me. So thank you so much. I'll try to answer a few questions. I don't know if there are any questions, but maybe I'm not looking in the right place.
Thank you, Millie. That was awesome. So is there any questions there that we can actually, I know that we haven't asked them to please put your questions. So boundaries is a huge topic. Thank you for breaking it down. Let me see, chat.
Boundaries are big.
So any other questions that she can answer? So I just want to say that this was such a great topic today. And a lot of times we don't think about ways that we need to take care of each other, and specifically about ourselves. We always think about how can we help others? How can we help our clients? How can we help our participants? How can we help our family? But we hardly talk about what am I going to be doing to help myself and take care of myself. And I know that, let me see if there's something. So boundaries is very important. So I think that boundaries is something that we all kind of relate, but a lot of us do not put them. And so how can we make a plan to actually put boundaries, not only for our participants and clients, but also for our families? Because we need to make sure that we have that space for ourselves, and we need to have that breathing time to recoup, get strength, and continue on. So yes. What is a good plan? How can you talk to your family about, hey, leave me alone, I need my alone time? How can we really talk and make sure that they're listening and they can support us in that way?
And that's the big part. Again, it's about voicing it. You know, and I've told people, you know, if you have a sign and you put it on your door and you say, do not enter, please don't bother me. And if it's the 20 minutes, if it's 30 minutes, and really respecting that. And I think when your family, if they are able to do that, and when they see the change in you, that you're not as moody or snappy, they're like, oh, whatever she does inside the room, if it's reading, painting, listening to music, it works. So, you know, and I find it interesting because my husband, he won't even tell me. He'll be like, Millie, do you want to go for a run? He doesn't tell me that I'm snapping. Do you want to go for a run? And that's my kid. I'm like, you know what? That's not a bad idea. I'll go and I'll put on my tennis shoes and I'll go and I run around the block. But it's that way of like, just take time for you. Like, and it's being able to know that when you do that, as much as it might seem like, oh yeah, you know, I go and I still have the dishes that I have to do, I come back with such a better attitude when I do that for myself.
So that was a great question, but a lot of times, many of us are not used to going running or walking, and that might be a little bit difficult. How can we?
Oh yes, no, but yes,
about that.
But that's you know, that's where those boundaries is saying no. That's what it really comes down to. It's about saying, where is my limit? So if if I'm doing everything around the house and nobody's offering to help, it's really not about them offering help. It's about me saying, hey, on Monday, can you please do this? This is going to be your chore and we're going to have to negotiate. And that's the thing that we're going to have to do, because people, if it's working for them, why are they going to add more to their plate, right? But if it's not working for me, then that's what we need to do. We need to be vocal about it. And some people are not able to do that. So one thing that I do, that I start with, I ask people just to practice saying no, like by themselves. Mm-hmm. Point to that simple. Can you say no? Can you say it loud enough? Can you say it looking in the mirror, looking at yourself in the eyes and say no? Mm-hmm. When you do that, how does it feel? And some people are like, you know what? I cannot even look at myself in the eyes when I say no. It feels horrible. No, I can't. Can I sit with the discomfort of saying no? And we'll start working from that, because this is not a quick fix. Boundaries is something that we work through our entire lives. And we learn them, sadly, from our family, from our parents. And if they didn't have good boundaries, we are not going to have good boundaries, and our kids are not going to have good boundaries. So when we start doing those things, we start modeling, it's okay to say no. It's okay to disappoint people. It's okay to do those things to take care of you. But it's a daily practice. And if it's hard for someone, it might just be starting exercising, saying no, for some people, because I work a lot with the body, is saying, doing this of like pushing away and seeing how that feels. Can you embody that movement of like, give me space? And it doesn't have to be around anybody, but can I do that to allow myself, because it's about, can I sit with the discomfort I feel? Because if I'm worrying about you, now we're not just worried about boundaries, I'm worried about codependency. So now I have to, and that's a completely different issue than boundaries. So there's so many things that need to be considered when we're talking about boundaries, self-care, in our relationships.
Definitely, that is such a big topic that we should all be really aware of and informed on. I do see that there's a question around this as well. It says, what do you think we didn't learn how to set boundaries at an early age?
Because our parents didn't teach us that. It really comes from our parents. It doesn't, if our parents model for us, we're gonna know that it's okay to do. And if they allow us to set boundaries with them, we knew it was okay. One thing, I have a 6-year-old, and that's one of the things that I've tried so hard. And people, I love the reaction of people, because my son can tell me, Mommy, I was talking, you need to wait for your turn. And he's trying to set a boundary with me and saying, you don't have, why are you stopping me at the middle of my sentence? I was saying something to you and I thought it was important. And it's me, and then it's me saying, you know what, I'm sorry, I apologize. I didn't wait it for my turn. And it's doing those things instead of saying, well, I am your mom and you're gonna listen to me. And what you think and the boundary that you're trying to set does not matter. It starts with those things. It starts with being able to get your opinion considered and validated and being allowed to express it. And then the other person can say, you know what? I kind of see your point of view, but I don't quite agree with it. So can we come into a term to where we both can meet? And that's where the boundaries and being respected with your boundaries comes into place. Can we negotiate a middle term? But being allowed to voice it and being allowed to have it validated and respected at some level, that's where it starts. And sadly, a lot of our families are very authoritarian, with it's my way or the highway. Oh, boundaries go out the window.
Yeah.
Millie, and how can we, like, for instance, one person that they didn't allow them to have these limits that you are talking about, and how, if that person doesn't know how to do that, how gonna teach their sons, their daughters? How can we help them?
And that is, that's where it comes down to, we can't teach something we don't know how to do. So, and that's, again, if we want our kids to have these boundaries, because of course we want them to have them, we want them to go and tell someone, hey, you have to wait. I was trying to tell you something. Can you please give me a moment, right? And if they don't practice it with me, how do I expect them to go and practice it outside, right? And I do this with parents who have teenagers. They're like, oh my God, they never listen. They always have an opinion about everything. They have to say something. And I say, if you don't allow them to practice that skill with you, how are you expecting them to go out and tell their boss, that was not unfair? I can't do that. I can't overextend myself. I can't stay late. I can't do this. They have to practice it with us. But if for us it's hard to do, then we have to do the work ourselves as parents to be able to help our kids. Same thing. I can't keep wanting them to do something I'm not doing for myself. It has to start with me. And then I'll pass it on to my kids. So that's why a lot of times when I work with families, as much as they want to bring their kids, I work a lot with the parents and I say, let me start with you. And if you can start doing these changes, you'll see the change in your kid.
Millie, do you think this is more prominent in different cultures? And like I'm just thinking about the Hispanic culture, you know, we are raised to always be ready to serve, uh, and at home, and our parents, and they just ask us to do things, and then we go into relationships, and then we're always trying to please, and never put any boundaries on how I want to be treated, how I want this relationship to go. So this is just part of a lot of that I see in culture. Is that something that you see as well?
Yes, we have a very, what we call a very enmeshed culture, where there, enmeshed means that everything's tangled up, right? There's no you start, I start, there's no those limits. So yes, it's something that it's very ingrained. It's very ingrained also with people with in religions. You have to honor your mom and your dad, regardless of what they do and what they say. So there's a lot of dynamics that play into place. It's not just culture, it's religion too, on how you don't challenge the authority, the elders, mother, father figures. And again, I'm not trying to go to the other extreme in where you're being disrespectful. No, but can we make up the space in between for me to tell you, you know what? I know you wanted to play baseball, Dad, and that was your thing. And you wanted me to do the same thing, but that's not kind of my thing. I want to do something else. And can we have that open space to say, you know what? You're right, son. That was my dream. And I'm putting it on you, but that's not your thing. And we're getting into fights, and we're frustrated because I'm wanting you to do something that you don't want. Let's try to find what you want to do, what you're good at, not what I wanted to do.
So we have a question that's, and somebody's asking, can you do televisits from out of state, and will insurance cover them?
I am credentialed with most insurances. I would say check with your insurance first. I do work with some people out of state, but you would have to check with your insurance and see if even though I might be credentialed with Blue Cross Blue Shield, but let's say you're, I don't know, in Ohio, I'm considered out of network because I'm not in Ohio. So if you call and you say, how much would you cover for someone that is out of network, that is credentialed in Arizona with Blue Cross Blue Shield, they'll give you the information, and then we can go from there.
And then we have a comment that says, I know, right? She's so good. So they're saying that they really like. I have another comment, and she says, thank you so much. My daughter listened with me today, and she loved it as well. So just so good that people are bringing their families to these conversations, because this conversation is reaching to all of us.
Yes, our kids are great at keeping us very in tune with our self-care. It's like, you agreed that you were gonna do this. Like I said, my son is like, you said you were gonna go to the gym, and then you're not going, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna make the time to go. You know, it's being able to say, okay, you said you were gonna play, we were gonna do this thing together, let's make the time.
Well, thank you. I think that's all the questions that we have right now, and we do have other comments as well. And Millie, as always, thank you so much for this great information that we had today. I don't know if there's anything else that you want to say before we disconnect today. But I do want to appreciate everybody that connected. I know that we're all getting so busy with the states opening, and ours trying to rebuild our lives in a way that we don't know how, because we're confused. There's so much information. We're afraid of going out into the streets. We're afraid of reincorporating ourselves into our workplace. But I do believe that it's important that we think about how do we, can you mute yourself?
Oh, sorry.
So one of the things that I think that it's important that we think about everything that's happening in our communities. It's really something that is impacting every one of us. Every one of us. There's no community in our world probably that's going from different emotions that we're going through, and it's just normal. We're human beings. We're not used to being confined in our homes and not being able to go and visit our loved ones, go even to, I want to go buy a new dress, but I don't need a new dress, but we're just so accustomed to just going to the stores just because that's an outing that you do, and you go hang out with your friends, with your family. And right now we can't do that. Even though we're opening, we're still battling this pandemic, and we still are going through all those emotions that we're going through. And this is not going to stop today or tomorrow. This is going to be with us for, I don't know for how long really, because every single day there's new information that we hear, and there's new research that they're doing. So they're providing us more information and confusing us a little bit more. So just hang on there and just look for the CDC websites, look for the credible information resources, and just get yourself informed. Get yourself informed. And if you don't have to get out of your house, stay at home. Probably make sure that this is a family time. And I think the conversations that Millie has brought to us through all these weeks, I think that it has provided some tools, not only how to talk with our families, but also to identify the things that we're going through, and tools to also overcome those challenges that we're facing. So thank you, Millie, for that. And thank you, everybody, for connecting. And hopefully you can join us next week again. We have a really good topic. And Millie, I don't have my notes in front of me. Can you tell me the title that we...
Why do you have to do that to me, Flores? I know there was something about conscious parenting and how to speak with our children. It's something along those lines.
Yeah, correct.
And we want to do something where, again, it kind of goes with some of the questions that came up today, right? How can we be better parents so that our children can be healthier emotionally? Because so many times we don't realize that our own stuff is getting in the way, and that we're not allowing our kids just to show us what they're capable of. So we want to be able to do something where definitely we'll be talking about boundaries and culture and all these things, but really understanding ourselves a little bit better so that I can show up better for my children.
Correct. And I'm really excited about that, because we've had so much information around things that are happening in our communities, and parents talking about the needs, and really we haven't seen anything that has been brought to us, so we can actually learn how to identify those needs in our children. And then, because we see them, they're working, their homework, they're connecting, they're playing, but what is really going through their minds? What is really their feelings about this pandemic, and the fact that they're also at home without their friends, without the playground, without the school, and all those, without the grandparents. A lot of times that is the safe spot for them to really want to hug parents and grandparents and be just loved. And I'm really happy that we talk about that, and really looking forward to that next week, Millie. So thank you so much.
I'm excited.
Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Kenya. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, everybody, for connecting, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you. Thank you, Millie. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Flor.